All right, so this is a intro video um, as to why I even made this channel. This channel, Midlife Watch Crisis, is a cathartic um, attempt to better appreciate the watches I currently own and why I own them, and how I have acquired 44 watches in less than a year since I got into watches. Maybe people can appreciate this, maybe not. Feel free to like, comment, and follow. The entire goal of anything posted on this channel is about me just trying to really experience and appreciate watches more. So I'll start with why I'm into watches. Now, I'm 47 years old, 46 years old, going on 47. And about a year ago, I was on a cruise ship and I saw a Caliber 11 Monaco in a store, in a watch store. I've been wearing an Apple Watch for the better part of 2 decades. But this is the watch that got me into watches. This is not a Caliber 11. This is the Spreckton Sun clonage. Some would call it an homage. And there's some differences. The crown is on the wrong side. Obviously, it's got the rename purposes, but essentially, this is a almost one for one knockoff of Tag Heuer's Monaco. I didn't know these existed. That tag was about $8,200, $8,400, which I had never spent more than a couple $100 on a watch. In fact, my wife would buy me watches, and I'll talk about that in a different video, and in other watches, because those are watches I want to show some appreciation and really dig into a bit. But I was, I, I'm cheap. I would not spend that on a watch. Um, and yet I couldn't stop thinking about that watch. And so I looked up used versions, and the cheapest at the time was 6,200. And even today, almost a year later, the cheapest is around 5,800 on Chrono and Jono Shop and those shops, things I didn't know existed back then. So the reason I credit this watch and care most about this right here, hopefully it's focusing properly. There you go. Is that the existence of this clonage started my journey. I started looking at the history of watches and understanding watches. And ultimately, I bought this because I wanted to know if I liked the feel of this watch to decide one day if I would buy a Monaco. And I am incredibly trapped in the uh, arena of, well, if I love this watch and this feels great and this wears great, why would I spend an additional $6,000? Because this watch was, I think, 110, 120 to the door when I bought it. This took me to AliExpress, which I didn't know existed, and got me into watch modding. And I've since made a number, or assembled. I want to be careful about the terminology. I've gotten the parts sent to me and assembled watches. I've had dials made with my tattoo on them. I've gotten into this hobby, and I've done it in a way that hasn't been outrageously expensive. For someone who now has 44 watches, and I probably started with 6 or 7 when I started getting interested. But I'm going to talk more. I'm going to come back on here and talk specifically about this watch and what I like and don't like about it. This is not a watch review channel. In fact, this is not a watch channel. This is a me wanting to appreciate and talk about the watches. I'm doing other things to do that too. I'm going to post videos every day on TikTok about what I'm wearing, why I like that watch, or the issues with it. So maybe that's considered a review channel. But this one is really about maybe even learning more about them. Another thing I'm doing is I'm writing down the specs of a watch every single day, whether it's the one I'm wearing or not, and even doing some drawings of the dials. I'm a terrible artist, and if I keep that project up, maybe I'll share some of that on here with myself in the future. But yeah, that's the intro. That's what Midlife Crisis Watches is about. And this may run its course. At some point, I'll stop caring. Or I may end up getting into just a few watches, high end, more expensive watches. But right now, I'm loving the fact that things like this exist, and the ability to, for very little money, $100, less than $100 in tools, less than $120 in parts, I was able to make my own NH35 watch. Um, and I love that. I absolutely love it. So I love everything about this. I love the watch community on TikTok in particular. YouTube's great too, but the scale of Seiko mod people, just general mod people, low horology, which is what I would consider myself to the nth degree, people who understand the problems with clones, understand the real problem with one-to-one fakes, but also understand the problem of, you know, expensive watches for the sake of being expensive, expensive watches for wanting to show off. I want to own a Monaco Calibre 11. I'm sure I'm not saying that right. Calibre 11 Gulf Edition, because I'd rather have that on my wrist than this knockoff clonage, um, if I ran into a watch enthusiast. But then I ask myself, why? I love this watch. Why spend $6,000 more? Sure, it's quartz. No, it's not movement, whatever. But that's for a different conversation. Anyway, that's the intro. Um, Please don't feel compelled to hang around. But if this interests you in any way, shape, or form, let me know. Or if you have an opinion on anything I talk about, I am actually truly interested in who out there is experiencing the same thing where they want to appreciate their watches. Maybe they got into it in a weird way or have some stories. I'd love to hear it.